RadioShack did not collapse because demand for electronics disappeared. Consumer demand increased. Mobile phones expanded. Home devices multiplied. Personal technology became more common, not less. The failure was structural. RadioShack was built on frequent, small purchases. It later reorganized around infrequent, commission-driven sales. That shift changed how customers moved through the store, altered traffic patterns, and left thousands of small-format locations dependent on a model they could not sustain. To understand what happened, we have to look at how that structure worked and how it gradually stopped working. RadioShack's early advantage was proximity and specificity. It operated small neighborhood stores designed for precision needs. Customers did not visit for televisions or large appliances. They came for components: batteries, cables, adapters, replacement parts. The store functioned as a local supply node. Purchases were small, but they were frequent. Repairs required parts. Projects required components. Hobbyists returned repeatedly. Traffic remained steady because demand was recurring. The economics depended on volume and repetition. High frequency compensated for modest ticket size. As consumer electronics expanded in the 1980s and 1990s, RadioShack expanded with them. More stores opened. Locations were added inside malls and strip centers. The footprint grew dense. This density worked under one assumption: that traffic would remain frequent. Customers would continue returning for incremental purchases. The company's physical scale became tied to visit frequency. That dependence was invisible while traffic remained high. The pivotal shift occurred when mobile phones became central to strategy. Carrier contracts offered larger commissions. Individual transactions were far more valuable than component sales. From a margin perspective, the opportunity was clear. One activated phone could generate more profit than dozens of small parts. But this changed the traffic equation. Phone upgrades are infrequent. Carrier purchases are episodic. The new model required fewer visits, not more. Yet the store network remained sized for repetition. The incentive structure shifted from frequency to transaction value. That shift altered the foundation. The transition did not immediately collapse the business. Mobile sales were strong. Revenue stabilized in the short term, but the mix changed. Floor space once dedicated to parts shifted toward mobile displays. Inventory emphasis narrowed. The hobbyist ecosystem thinned. Traffic patterns became less predictable. When visits depend on contract cycles instead of recurring needs, volatility replaces stability. The signal was present, but it was masked by commission revenue. As mobile sales expanded, the commitment deepened. Carrier relationships became central. Store layouts reflected activation desks and handset displays. Staff training prioritized contracts over components. The system optimized for phone upgrades. Operationally, this reduced assortment complexity, but it also reduced reasons to visit. A customer needing a battery might still stop by. A customer waiting 2 years for an upgrade would not. The model now depended on a lower frequency customer base. Store density did not adjust. Wireless carriers opened dedicated stores. Apple introduced vertically integrated retail locations. Big box electronics retailers expanded phone sections. These competitors controlled either the device ecosystem or the service relationship. RadioShack controlled neither. Its leverage was location. But small format stores cannot sustain low-frequency traffic without differentiation. The structural advantage of proximity weakened as alternatives multiplied. By this stage, the company operated thousands of small stores. Leases were fixed. Geographic coverage was saturated. The network was built for frequent transactions. Phone commissions could not generate enough consistent traffic per location. The cost base remained aligned to repetition. The revenue model no longer was. Each store required steady traffic. Infrequent upgrades could not support that density. The mismatch widened. The decisive constraint emerged when reversal required shrinking the footprint. Reducing store count would mean lease exits and capital losses. Rebuilding the parts ecosystem would require vendor reinvestment and repositioning. Both required time and stability. The mobile commission model offered immediate cash flow. The long-term structural correction required short-term contraction. That trade-off became increasingly difficult to accept. The system favored continuation. Flexibility narrowed. Reversal became unlikely. RadioShack did not disappear because electronics demand collapsed. It disappeared because its physical network was calibrated for frequent, small purchases. When the model shifted toward infrequent, commission-based transactions, traffic fell below what the footprint required. The ecosystem that once justified density had thinned. The store base remained. The revenue rhythm changed. Over time, the imbalance resolved itself. The collapse was not sudden. It was the arithmetic of traffic and scale.